welcome to my Forever Young Summit. I'm so excited to share with you today Kendall, all the way from, I'm going to say it and I'm going to try it, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Is that right?
Oh
Canada?
yes,
Oh,
that was it. You got it. You right on the head. That was good.
it wasn't easy. I had to study that for about 10 minutes before we got on today's call just to make sure I had it right. But he is his website's therawadvantage.com. He is all about raw food. So this is a big one. A lot of my clients want to know about the vegan diets, how to eat raw. So I got the best expert I could find all the way from
Oh,
Canada.
bless you, bless you.
So so here he is. So thank you, Chris. Thanks for joining us today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much. Definitely appreciate to be here. I'm having a lot of fun back here in Saskatoon with my family and sucking up some of the warmth from the inside, but definitely enjoying.
So what is winter there? Like 10 months out of the year? Give me an idea.
10 months. I would not ever be here if it was 10 months. Well, it's roughly 5, 6 months. It can dribble a little bit past there, but yeah, it's a good half the year really that it's not super bueno to be outside. That's why I go to Espanol, Costa Rica, and run away a bit.
Very good, very good. In fact, Chris was just sharing with me that he just got back from LA and then you're going to Hawaii, and so that's the way to do it realistically, just
I'm
get out there.
floating around, yeah, floating around, enjoying it. Sometimes I like to just follow the mango, right? Just follow mango season and enjoy that.
Works for me, works for me. Yeah, there's probably not a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables right now in your area.
Well, some greens, and I do have some fruit trees in my house. I grow sprouts, but the fruit trees in my house aren't really yielding. But yeah, most of the stuff that I'm getting is shipped in from either BC or California, or the odd bit that's a little further from than there.
Very cool, very cool. So tell me, take me back. When did you start this raw food diet, or what originated this into your life? Give me your
Okay,
story.
awesome. You want the shortened version, or you want the like super epic tale?
Whatever has the most excitement to it.
All right. Well, I'll start way back when I was 5 years old. No,
That's right.
I was I was in my mid-teens, around 17. I graduated early from high school so that I could move away to skateboard. Skateboarding was always my biggest passion since I was 5 years old, actually.
Okay.
And my dream was to be a professional skateboarder. So by the age of 18, I moved to Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, because their drinking age is 18. And I proceeded to drink like a fish as much and as often as I possibly could, and ate as poorly as I possibly could, having zero connection between health and what I put in my pleasure trap.
Mhm.
So, it wasn't that long. I was really just mid 18, 19, and I was feeling really crappy. I was depressed. I wasn't skateboarding as often because I wasn't healing as well. My joints were starting to hurt, and I knew something was up. I was going to bed not wanting to wake up. I was literally in my mind suicidal. Never did anything physically, but in my mind, I didn't want to be alive anymore. And I started researching. I found yoga, and yoga really turned me on to tuning my body, and which led to diet. And the first real book that I read that really hit me, I was in a used bookstore in Saskatchewan on a little break from Alberta, and this one book jumped out, hit me in the head, called Fit for Life. It's an amazing, amazing book. It's one that I've recommended tons and tons of people. Harvey and Marilyn Diamond really take natural hygiene in the raw food diet and make it more accessible, a little bit simpler, and a little bit more just streamlined for the general populace. They did a great job because it's the most sold book on nutrition in the world. It's like billions of copies, and I don't know if it's dozens and dozens of languages it's translated into, but it's the most sold book on nutrition ever. That book hit home for me, and it really went into vegetarian veganism, touched on raw food, food combining, and the benefit of just a holistic lifestyle. And really, when I read that book, I was just blown away. Like it opened so many doors, and my eyes just wide, wide open. And from there, literally, I started making huge changes. And actually, since then, like that's been 16 years, I hadn't had a cold until last year when I really stretched myself too thin with stress and not enough sleep and overeating kind of fancy transitional gourmet stuff. But I had like a 14-year streak of not being sick once, and
Wow.
even though I have now been twice, it's been for a day where I just took a break. Um, I started eating fruit for breakfast, I've probably had about 5 cooked breakfasts in the last 15 years,
Hmm.
and kind of got to be a food combining Nazi, for lack of a better term. And I really just took it on, and I started researching nutrition more and more and more. And by about 5 years later, I'd been a vegan for about 6 months, was in nutrition school in Vancouver studying to become a registered holistic nutritionist. And I went to a festival, it was like a vegan health festival, and met Dr. Douglas Graham. He's at that time had been like a, I think, 23-year raw foodist and a doctor of chiropractic, and been practicing and been the keynote speaker for most raw food events for the last like 15 years. And he knew a lot. He knew a lot on the subject, and he beamed health. He was the first person that I saw that I was learning from. That I was like, I know this guy's got something. Like I want to learn direct from this guy, right? And so I spent a bunch of time with him after. Went to all of his talks, and the next day I went 100% raw. I had
Hmm.
learned about it before, but I never really knew how to apply it. I knew raw food was better for you. I'd read Nature's First Law that said, cooked food is poison, which I'm not really in that mind frame anymore, but still, on a scale of better best, raw food treats us the best if it's really easily digestible food, which you can go more into later. So yeah, I really just fully got into raw food diet 10 years ago. And as soon as I got into it, I knew that I really wanted to pursue that as a career and share that with the world, because in the first 3 days I went raw, I felt more tremendous change within myself, more spiritual awakening than on my entire last 5 years of nutrition kind of application. And it just hit me so hard. I was like, this is my passion. Skateboarding was the main reason I got into nutrition. Even when I went to school, I just wanted to become a professional skateboarder. But as soon as I jumped into raw food, I was like, this is it. Like, this is what I want to share with the world. Skateboarding is a vehicle to reach younger audiences and different groups of people. And so I applied the raw food diet for 4 years, learned the ins and outs, learned from different professionals, people applying it, learned from people who failed on it, until I came to a place where I was like, all right, this is time to start spreading it and stepping into the shoes of promoting it full time. So I worked my last job, did framing of houses out here in Canada in minus 40 weather for a few months, made enough money to buy the computer that I'm talking on right now, started the Raw Advantage, and now it's been 6 years later that I've just been full time spreading this message of simple holistic health via the raw food diet, exercise, sleep, sunshine, fresh air, all those awesome lifestyle factors. And I tell you, it's been a blessing. It's been awesome sharing with so many people and traveling around doing retreats or expos or events like the Best of Raw or Woodstock Fruit Festival, and just again just spreading the ease that is becoming the healthiest, happiest person you can possibly be, or striving towards that.
Good for you. Damn, I'm inspired. 6 years ago, huh?
I, six
Oh,
years is how long I've been steady on the Raw Advantage, like
yeah,
nonstop.
yeah. It's fun when it's something passionate. It's just fun.
It
And
is.
you're helping people, so how can you not be excited about what you do every day? You're giving people better quality of life.
I
So,
love it. Of it. And I mean, consultations are probably my favorite thing. It's rare that I come out of one anything but charged up. The only way I do
mhm.
is if I go into it really dead already, but that doesn't happen as often as it ever would in my life, because I treat myself like the temple I am, right? So as often as I can. Sometimes I don't get enough sleep, I'll admit it, but
Yeah, that's my one downfall. I'm a
yeah.
night owl.
Yeah, I call it the bane of the hygienist, or just the bane of health practitioners, because generally we feel like we can get away with a bit more because we treat ourselves so well, and
Hmm.
also we're so filled with purpose, passion. We want to help people, so we stretch our limits a little bit on that, and that's been a new thing for me, is becoming more and more aware of that and creating a little bit more balance, giving myself the absolute best so that I can serve others more efficiently and with more potential for their own growth.
Yes, couldn't agree more. So you went like literally from cooked food to raw food overnight and never
Well,
looked
no,
back, or how did that journey work out for you?
not really, to be honest, because when I first got into it at 18, 19, I started with fruit for breakfast. That was the big thing. I was just like, I'm going to eat fruit for breakfast. Very simple, either a couple fruits combined well using food combining, or one fruit at a time when hungry till full, a mono meal. And just went with vegetarianism. And eventually, about 2, 3 years later, that turned into fruit for breakfast and lunch. Sometimes fruit for dinner, but otherwise I cooked starch for dinner with vegetables. And so I'd been doing that for a while. And really, by the time I got into school, I was 100% vegan, whole food, mostly raw. So it was like fruit for breakfast, fruit for lunch, and like cooked sweet potato with broccoli for dinner. And like had let go of all processed foods, had quit drinking and smoking and all the other kind of fun stuff. And by the time 6 months later I met Doug Graham, I'd cleared out a lot in my body, and I jumped right in headfirst into all raw, simple, low fat, high carbohydrate diet that it just felt like I went from using, real unleaded to using like the highest caliber jet fuel ever. And I was just like, blammo, it just felt so good. It was unreal, honestly. Like Satori moment after Satori moment. It was so crazy.
And that's how you're meant to live all along. It's how we're supposed to feel every day.
For sure, for
Yeah.
sure. That
It's
light's always shining within us. It's just whether we have the dirt,
right.
or the dampers on, right? So it's just
Exactly.
clearing that window so our soul can shine through.
Right, right. I have, clients I'll do a cleanse with, and they're just doing, of course, raw fruits and veggies, and they're like, "I'm so energetic. I can't believe how good I feel." Is there something, like they've taken a drug or something? No, this is
Yeah,
what you're
yeah,
supposed to be eating all along. Welcome
yeah.
to the
That's
real
what
world.
works. That's what works. Look around at every single animal around us. Unless they're scavenging off us, which they accompany us with all those degenerative diseases.
Yeah,
They're eating raw foods. That's
right.
that's what nature provides. They're
Hmm.
eating the foods they're biologically, physiologically designed for, usually one at a time when hungry till full. And
Hmm.
that's nature, right? That's
Yes. Yes.
really simple.
My ideal thing, of course, is to be picking it right off a tree somewhere in a tropical
Oh,
setting.
that is the best. I mean, our hands are designed for it. Look at these guys. They're squeezed. They're made for squeezing. So they're really good. That's what it's for.
You're tall, where you could probably reach the fruit too, a little more than I
Yeah.
could.
I can reach them. But sometimes, like when I was in California a few years ago, I was living out there doing a living consultation, and I found a white sapote tree that was just in season. So I just grabbed the trunk and shook the hell out of it, and all of a sudden it was raining white sapotes all over me. So I had like a box full in about 5 minutes. It was
Oh,
awesome.
cool. Very cool. So let's back up and help. Why raw foods? I'm sure I know the answers, but I want to hear them from you. Raw. Explain why that's so important.
Well, I mean, why it's important relative to the goals that you have. If you wish to digestion, if you wish to have extra blood flow, energy, and enzymes for every other process in your body beyond digestion, if you want to get the most nutrition per calorie you possibly can get with the least digestive effort, if you want to wake up feeling great and bouncy, if you want to feel like you're just sitting there shining in the sun, if you want to delve deeper into your spiritual practice or become more flexible, if you want to increase your vitality in all ways from strength, flexibility, endurance, ability, just basically stepping up your game in any way you can think of, physically, mentally, or in my personal um, blah, 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 in my flow spirituality as well. All of it really all kind of comes together, right? So why not raw is kind of the way I'd look at it,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, looking at I want the best for myself. If I want the best for myself, if I want to feel the best I absolutely can, if I want to lower carbon footprint and be participating in the change so that we're coming back closer to nature, closer into the attunement with everything that's surrounding us, then why not raw, Um, we can look at it from a scientific point of view and say why raw, and we can note that when we eat cooked food, there's a rise in blood pressure and a rise in red blood cells, which are our all-American cells, used to attack invaders and viruses and stuff like that. When we eat a raw meal, we don't have those two things. There's proteins becoming denatured, there's carbohydrates, there's fats becoming rancidified when we cook foods, and all those things are toxic in the body. Now, some people say, cooked food is bad and is poison. I don't look at it that way. If I'm going to be eating food, I want to eat food that has the lowest toxic load possible and the most nutrition per calorie, right? And that comes back to
Mm-hmm.
fruits. Fruits are the most nutritious food on the planet. They match our needs more than any other food. Greens, they're amazing as well, and they match our needs very, very closely as well. Although in terms of volume and calories, it makes more sense to get the bulk of our calories from fruit. What's kind of neat about fruit is that it matches our natural hydration levels. So if we're eating a fruit-based diet, we don't really need to be chugging tons and tons of
Right.
water. Naturally, we aren't a huge water drinking species, but the more toxic our body is, the more
Hmm.
water we need to be taking in to buffer out that toxicity. Solution to pollution is
Right.
dilution, so they
Or if
say,
you live in
right?
Las Vegas in the desert, you have to drink more water here. A little
Exactly.
dry.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. Yeah, it's a little dry there. And I mean, the more you exercise, the more you need to take in water. All those things definitely come into effect. But, the way I look at it, the more I researched, the more I looked into environmental factors, spirituality, physical, mental, emotional factors. If you're into positive self-growth, if you're looking to transform your life, to feel better than you ever have, and to be on a path of discovery and inner transformation, why
Right.
not raw? It works the best. And no matter what nutrient we're looking at that is a foodborne nutrient, we can talk about B12 or vitamin D later, which aren't technically foodborne nutrients. There is no nutrient that we need: protein, fat, carbohydrate, macronutrients, or water or fiber, or the micronutrients, all the vitamins and minerals, enzymes, coenzymes, flavonoids. There's no food on the planet that comes closer to meeting our needs in the ratios we need them than fruit. And vegetables come number two. Anything that fruit comes in number one, vegetables comes number two. Anything that vegetables comes number one, fruit comes number two. So they have each
Yeah.
other's back in that way. And realistically, anything we eat beyond that, we're eating for entertainment, or we're eating for a reason other than optimal health and
You're
nutrition.
right about that. This is definitely an entertainment thing. I'm one of those social eaters. Oh, sure, I'll go meet up with a friend and not even want what's up on the menu, but I'm hanging out with friends. So I have to participate.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, food is all pervasive. It's in
Yes.
every culture. It's in every, social kind of situation, economical situation. They have certain foods that seem like
Right.
really ritzy and stuff like
Right.
that. But I mean, you put fruit out there abundantly. You eat it in front of people, and
Hmm.
everyone's like, "Oh, I want some of that." It's like there's
Yes.
old triggers in our
Yes.
mind. It's an old something. Plus, I mean, raw foodists, people who eat a lot of raw food or just vegans and stuff like that, they smell better, smell better, taste better, look better. Fruit, health
That's
is sexy.
right.
Who doesn't want to feel great, look sexy, right?
You said it. You got to
Yeah,
glow from the inside out. You only do it to take care of
exactly,
yourself. I
exactly.
agree
Yeah.
100%. And a little too.
Sleep helps, it's all about holism, right? Food is one aspect. It's a big one because we're so far off base, but once we get food figured out, and it is simple, there's a lot of other stuff to figure out, and get in tune with and change habits on, and go within on, right, on perspective and what we're sharing with ourselves and others. That all has just as big of an impact on your overall health and well-being, and the change we want to precipitate in the planet
Hmm.
as
I
food
love
does.
hearing the feedback of when people take charge of their health, of the ailments go away and the need for medications goes away and they sleep better at night. They have more energy. They're better in their career. I mean, it
Mm,
really is it's the core of everything you do in life. It starts with your health by all means. So it is the foundation.
huge,
So,
huge.
don't you ever crave a steak? I have to ask. Well, how do you get your protein, or do you ever
A
crave
steak.
meat? You're going by someone's house and they're barbecuing. Oh, come on, be honest.
Well, you know what? In full honesty, I never really enjoyed steak. I liked burgers. I liked bacon. I won't lie. I think those things tasted great, and it's just the ethics of it and the physical ramifications of choosing that for me. It doesn't hold sway. It did for a time. I'd be lying and say in my last 15 years of being a vegetarian that I haven't slipped and had some meat, but it became fewer and further between as years went on, and it's been a long time, but it's been closer to 10 years since I've had meat
Wow.
than less, right? And um, what I've found out as well too is like, yeah, if I'm really hungry and I'm walking by a barbecue, I might smell it and go, "Oh, that smells good," but usually it's the
Hmm.
flavorings and the sauces and the salt and all those things that we crave rather than the meat itself.
Yeah.
If you're just to eat like a plain boiled steak or a plain boiled piece of, chicken, or if you really look back and take 3 steps back and imagine procuring it, killing the animal and cutting it out and moving the hair, it's really not attractive whatsoever. It's just when it's like served to you in a
Mm-hmm.
restaurant all fine and dandy, and you're completely disconnected that there is interest. So it comes back to that immediate gratification and just disassociation that I would find myself craving that. And instead, I prefer to step back and go, look at the wider picture, not only of that exact moment, but where did this come from? What impact does that have? How do I feel about that? Where's this going to lead me? Where does this lead the planet? Where does this lead, the future generation of people and what they believe is sound things to be doing, So I don't really crave that anymore. Occasionally I'll like smell some sweet potatoes or, like some simple vegetarian dishes or vegan dishes and think like, that'd be pretty good. But from past experience, I've just really found it's like
Mm-hmm.
putting a damper on. It's like putting my sunglasses on. And I like to be wide open to the sun. I like to have my eyes really wide open and that mental clarity and just feeling better. So raw is my preference. I'm not fanatic about it to the point where, I get nervous and stiff thinking about cooked food or like all weird, like or weird around other people eating it. None of that matters to me, but I've gone through that. And most people who get into a raw food diet usually do go through that, some inner work and some social work and emotional work, right? Because it's, again, food's an all pervasive thing and it can be a big change, and stepping over the main
Well,
current
that's the
can be a
thing. I
little
want to
bit
encourage our
challenging.
audience that it's not completely something they can't do. Because I know whenever you're starting a new, lifestyle of food, I don't call it a diet. It's more of a lifestyle choice. It's overwhelming. I mean, just making good
Hmm.
choices period is overwhelming when someone's just mindlessly eating, which is what most of America and most of the country and
Hmm.
world are doing, is just mindlessly throwing stuff in their
Huge.
face. Where you're
Yeah.
consciously now saying, is it worth it to eat
Yeah.
that? No, I really want to feel good tomorrow. I've got this going on. And you make, conscious choices. So what's your advice to them? How should they, I mean, give us some feedback. Do you have to create everything? I mean, I think probably the biggest challenge is everyone's going 100 miles an hour and want convenient and fast. So what does stay on this
For
raw diet?
sure. For sure. Well, that's a great question. What's worked best for me is to be prepared, to make sure that, in those times when I was first doing it, that I had enough food around me or I really knew where to get good quality, ripe produce at the drop of a hat if I needed it. Because, when the crap hits the fan and, you're thinking about everything else, if you
Right.
don't have something around, you're more likely to go for it, right? So, and with shopping, what I found really helps is just to make sure that you have an abundance of a few things rather than a little bit of a bunch of different things. Because, again, I mean, some people say we are what we eat. I like to say more, we are what we absorb. And the more simply we eat, again, going back to mono meals, one food at a time, when hungry to full, the better digestion, the better assimilation, the more satisfied we actually. So I utilize food combining. I make recipes and stuff like that. But a lot of the times,
Right.
nature's fast food. Peel some bananas, eat them until you're totally full, right? Apples, smash some dates, some candy apples, have some lettuce. It can be as simple or as complicated as you want. For dinner I had cooked veggies, which is like of butter chicken, East
Mm-hmm.
Indian food, but it's all raw, vegan, and simple. So it doesn't have to be all about really eating really simple. But you know, the other thing is, enjoy mono meals. Make sure you have stuff around you, but otherwise find some meals that you love. Because in general, most people use about 5 meals, 5 recipes, and those are the main
Mm-hmm.
ones that they rotate over and over again on any diet, right? So if you find 5 raw recipes, frickin' retreat, check my website, theradvantage.com, then you know you're likely to find recipes that you absolutely love, and it makes it easy. Like I have 5 or 6 recipes that I reliably rotate, and sometimes they change every few years, or if I'm in a different place where there's different food. But once
Right.
you have that, it's a heck of a lot easier, and from recognize it's just food. Realistically, the biggest thing about lifestyle change to me, about diet change to me, especially with the raw food diet, is
Mm-hmm.
coming more in tune with your emotions and understanding that if you're extremely emotional, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling like all irritable and I got to eat right
Right.
now, that's not really hunger. That's emotions. That's physical and emotional toxemia that's coming up. And if you don't learn to deal with that, if you don't change your coping mechanisms from eating really gross, heavy foods every time you feel
Right.
strong emotion, you're always going to be zigzagging. So To me, the eating part is simple. Again, it's like pick the fruits and vegetables you love the most, find
Right.
some recipes you love the most, hungry till full, eat in a calm, balanced state. And then otherwise, if you're not in a calm, balanced state, find ways that you can fulfill your needs that are unmet so that you're brought back quicker to that balanced state. And, that might be writing a diary, it might be taking a bath, it might be going for a run, a jog, laying down with your cat and petting it, or, exercising. There's a million different ways you can do
Hmm.
it, but it takes going through it and running your own
I
experiment to
agree.
find out what
I was
works
that
best for
emotional eater
you.
once upon a time, and as a stay-at-home mom and chasing a child around all day, I thought my reward at the end of the day was she's in bed finally. I can sit and watch my DVR, watch all my soaps, and I can have my ice cream or whatever I'm going to treat myself to. And that was
Mhm.
my reward in my head. And boy, did it take a toll on my health naturally. So I had to work a
Yeah,
lot on this more than anything. It wasn't just
yeah.
strategy and learning what's best to eat. It was more my head trash. What's triggering this? Why do I feel a void? I need to really love Carrie more enough to say no to things. So I coach a lot on that too, a lot of mindset and being strong,
Yeah.
mentally strong, and making better choices and loving yourself. I get really deep into self-honoring
Mm.
part. So couldn't agree more.
Huge.
Here we go. There's the love.
Peace, love, peace, love, and seasonal fruit. Oh, those are the master links up there. Again, it's about holism, right? And raw food, healthy choices is a big thing,
Yes.
but emotional stability and self-love and love of others, treating yourself like you deserve. That
I couldn't
really
agree
is the
more.
hugest.
Couldn't
That's
agree
the
more. I
master
am
link, I
so
believe.
craving a salad now. The more we talk, the more I'm like, what's in the fridge? Can I get a
Well,
grapefruit?
salads
What
are
do I
delicious.
have?
I love Well, you can check your copy of 101 Freaking Awesome Recipes and
That's
figure that
right.
out.
I
Punch it up on
know.
your iPhone
I
app, the
can't
free Raw
believe you
Advantage
have an
iPhone app.
app. That is
That's all
pretty
you got
cool.
to
I was
punch it
reading
in.
that on my iPad. I was like, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. You can get it on your iPad too. You just have to search through iPhone apps on your
Very,
iPad, and it's free, tons of recipes and
very
stuff,
cool.
and
And that,
that
yeah,
really does
and once
make it
people are
easier for
educated and they
sure.
feel equipped, they'll jump on. They'll jump on board with a new idea or a new concept to try it out. It's when they just feel lost and they don't have something simple to go
Hmm.
with that they just give up, or they cave in. So what do you do when are you
It's true.
consulting people? Do you coach people through this? Tell me kind of what you do with your ideal client.
For sure, for sure. And that's an extra point too, is getting some support, getting a little bit of that feedback and a bit of a shoulder to lean on when it's a little bit tough, whether that's through a coach like myself or just community and reaching out to other raw fooders that have been there and organizing Fruit Lux or raw food meetups and stuff like that. So what I do, I offer consultation online and in person. I also do live-in consultations where I'll jump in and live with someone for the shortest I've done is like
Wow.
3 days, and the longest I've done is 8 months. Typically, it's 2 weeks to a month. Uh, I really just get in there with the consultation form, delving into their past, their history, what they're looking to attain and achieve. Their most pertinent questions, and we just jump in there. We look at emotional transformation as well as the information they need to feel comfortable and competent to start a raw food diet and be equipped with all the knowledge and know-how and tips and tricks that can really make it a lot easier. So that's the mainstay of what I do. I absolutely love that. And then otherwise, retreats and stuff like that, so you can again be like hands-on, just like the live-ins, because that makes a huge difference too when you're actually there with somebody and organically learning instead of learning like a class setting where you're, like fact after fact after fact or information after information. Instead, it's like we're doing this and explaining it as we're
Hmm.
doing it. That can really help a lot as well. But those are probably my two biggest, I guess,
That's
alongside
awesome.
retreat
No,
or
the support is
festivals and
big,
stuff like that.
and there's so much more to offer now. I see so many restaurants that have great vegan and raw type of choices. Really limited. You don't have to stay in your house and only
Hmm.
cook for yourself or prepare food for yourself. You can actually go out with friends. It's not that
No,
scary. But overall, I'm picturing you with
sure.
people that just what are you hiding out in the kitchen and spying on them or slapping their hand when they're doing something they're not supposed to? I mean, what does that look like exactly?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, At one point, a lot of people when they get into a raw food diet, they can be very militant or they can be very judgmental. And to me, what that all reflects and refracts is just their view of themselves and the parts of themselves that they haven't quite accepted from their past or the things that they're battling with in the present. Once you go through some of that self-work or your preference or perspective rather to being more in union with everyone regardless of what thing and knowing that the best way to encourage someone else is just to support them in what they're doing while at the same time showing them through your actions
Right.
something that could support them even more, right? So that's where I come from. I have my own thoughts and opinions and beliefs, of course. At the same time, unless asked or unless really invited energetically, I don't push anything on anyone. I like to let the actions be the word unless I'm on top of my soapbox on my YouTube channel or on my website. Then yeah, I'm gonna be a little more outspoken. If I'm at my own event, I'm gonna be more outspoken. But unless asked, I mean, most of my friends are meat eaters, and a lot of them have changed. Though I've seen tons and tons of change in my immediate family and in my friends, and just through
Awesome.
the raw
It is
advantage just
awesome. You
ripple
got to
out.
lead by
So
example. I
it's
think that's
awesome.
lead by inspiration. Those fear mongers that scream at people, it just doesn't kind of play off as well.
It it hits certain people. That's the beauty of life is everyone's moving at their own pace, doing what they believe is right, and it all resonates with someone. Marching to your own drum. I definitely believe that the message of being a vegan first and foremost is being compassionate and loving towards all beings, including people eating meat. It's compassion to everyone for absolutely everything that they could possibly do, and then from there being happy and boisterous and expressing how to make it easier and better if asked.
That.
Just sharing in
So
that
tell
way
me
has really
about
served
some
me well.
clients. Do you have any wins you want to share with us, or success stories, or anything that really touches home with you and reminds you
Oh
this is what
wow.
I'm supposed to be doing?
Well, there are a lot. There really are a lot from people with type 1 or type 2 diabetes who have either reduced or eliminated their need for insulin completely and feeling better than they ever have, to people with Crohn's or colitis, ending years or decades of pain and blood in their stools and malabsorption, to someone recently who had cancer who's cancer free again. And the list goes on and on. Pretty much any debilitative or degenerative disease you can think of, myself or my colleagues or other people I know have helped people move through it by healing themselves. And athletes, professional athletes, skateboarders and stuff, getting to the top of their game, feeling better. I really love hearing back from people just who maybe I've consulted or otherwise indirectly influenced through my website or my blogs, who just say, my life has changed. My life has spread out to other people around me, and I'm just in so much gratitude because now I feel better than I ever have, and I'm excited to create in the future. And before that, they weren't. So that's why I do what I do. I love it, and it is always the most beautiful and amazing thing to feel that you've impacted someone else in a positive way, and directly or indirectly. So I feel blessed to do this interview to reach a whole bunch of new people and a wider audience, and hopefully precipitate everyone else treating themselves as they deserve. That's what it comes from. I can just share the information that's just like, treat yourself better. You deserve it. Really, you do. And
Right.
most people don't realize it or believe it. But the thing is, I look at fruits and vegetables as nature's love for us. And the more love we put in our bodies, the more we love ourselves and everyone else around us. Just like turns everything on. And that was the biggest thing for me. I was like, I'm treating myself with hate all the time mentally. And instead of trying to change that mental position, I'm just going to use physical action. I'm going to do loving action towards myself. So I slept more, I ate really good foods, I exercised, and guess what? Those thoughts changed, and I started loving myself a lot more. The Beatles say all we need is love. Well, all we need is some peace, love, and seasonal
And we're
fruit.
back to the T-shirt. You should have sent me
Oh
one
yeah,
ahead of time. I could have wore it for you. It could have been
shameless.
matching.
I wish, but this one actually isn't even out yet. It's going to be on pre-sale pretty soon. I'm teamed up with
Awesome.
Fully Raw Christina from fullyraw.com, and yeah,
Very cool. Very
it's going to
cool.
blast out soon though. You'll be able to see it. I'll send you one though when it comes out if you like.
Cool.
The girls ones are in gray and have a bit of a scoop
Cool. I'm
neck
in.
and
Very
organic
cool.
cotton,
So
like all
don't you
my
guys have
stuff.
like some Costa Rica trip? I was scoping out your Facebook page. What do you? Very cool. What's going on with that?
I do. Super stoked. Well, the last 3 years I've held retreats out at the Pharma Life. It's pharmalifecr.com. It's like the most amazing raw food, permaculture, healing, fasting, learning retreat center I've ever seen. You know, they can fit up like 20 some people, and it's got an awesome yoga views, two natural spring births on the land, vortexes for the morning, sun gazing.
Hmm.
It's the most really like in touch holistic center I've ever visited, and they're like family. Brian and Jody Calvi, they're the best. So I hold retreats out there all the time. I chef retreats out there. This season here, we're looking at March 8th to 15th. I'm holding a raw yoga, surfing, skateboarding retreat. It's an adventure, crazy man retreat that you can go at
Hmm.
your own pace. If you don't want to skate or surf, you can lay on the beach. If you want to be in the water surfing the whole time, you can do it. We'll be delving into, of course, yoga every day and all that other stuff that goes along with it. And then the next retreat is April 5th to 13th. And that's kind of the same thing, but more attention going towards culinary skills. So learning how to make raw food that's not only delicious and digests easy, but you could share with anyone in any
Wow.
restaurant and they'd be like, wouldn't even know it was raw food, you know, so but yet still digest real great. So that's the next retreat. And in between there, I'm going to be Chef Sam PT's retreat, which is a rehabilitation or a raw habilitation. That he's a physical therapist, so it's a lot about structural exercises for rehabilitation, but
Very
also all
awesome.
about the raw food
Gosh,
diet and
that's the
lifestyle.
best place
So
ever. And I'm all about natural
I
hot springs
absolutely love
too.
it.
And we've got a lot of them around Vegas here. But
Yeah, I love hot springs. I'll admit, I wish there was a hot spring there, but it's a cool spring, but it's very refreshing. Temperatures out there are super hot, so
hmm hmm
usually it's kind of a
yes,
reprise
anything
from the afternoon
nature,
sun.
it's just like welcoming to my body. I'll take it. Sure beats
Hmm.
sitting in chlorinated hot tub. Ugh.
Oh man, yeah, no, this is it there, you know. And I never mentioned too that I teach yoga, and I'll be teaching yoga at the retreats. I have my own
Yeah, saw
style
that.
called Kendallini, based off Kundalini, and yeah, so I love to flow all that out. You know, anything that makes me feel good, that I've been, risen up, something that's really empowered me or
Very
brought
nice.
some
So
drastic
what are your
change. I like
thoughts
to share at
about
those
yoga
retreats.
versus other exercises and other form of activity? Give us your 2 cents on yoga.
Well, I love yoga, but the best exercise is the one that you enjoy and that you're gonna do. Yoga is powerful because it does really encompass not only like physical endurance and strength and balance and coordination and flexibility. It really hits all the fitness, especially with all the different styles, but it's also a spiritual practice. It really gets you into mindfulness and it gets you into your body in a different way than most exercises do. So I find it complements almost any sport. It can be a sport of its own, if you want to call that, or a martial art, or practice, whatever it is. But I just find that it hits more than most. So it's something that can really well bring you more well-rounded fitness. Now, it's not especially great in strength unless you're doing a lot of the
Yeah.
strength exercises. Doing like handstands and headstands and moving through your practice in those kind of poses, floating through. But that accompanied by some weightlifting or some calisthenics, which can be part of a power yoga class, then it
Hmm.
brings all of those into
Now
it
I want to eat a
again.
salad and do some yoga. I do.
Sounds like you want to come to a Raw
Are you
Advantage
kidding? You had
retreat.
me at Costa Rica.
Yeah. I actually at the Best of Raw Awards, I just won Best Fully Raw Vegan Retreat as
You just
well.
all over the place.
Award
That's
winning.
right. That's right. This
Ding
is
ding
the
ding
Chris
ding.
Show.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a Leo. Come on, I gotta embrace it, right? I'm on my soapbox right
Well,
now. You just gave me the opportunity to
it's
spread
the
and shine it,
microphone. Do you
right?
just carry that
Gotta
around everywhere
spread
you
the
go?
love. Oh, sweet lover, lover. Yes, I do. This is well, I don't actually carry it around, but I got this for my music, and I like it in this kind of thing because I like to feel like a radio announcer. Feels really good and like
That's
the raw
right.
food.
You're sexing up raw food, and that's okay with me. That's
You got it. You got it. You know, it's I have a separate line of shirts I don't talk about much, but it's called Raw Girls and Boys Taste Better. It's pretty naughty.
Can I have that T-shirt instead?
Original B12 shot. Yes, yes, you can. You can put it on
That's
anything.
awesome. Very cool. Very
I can give
cool.
you the link.
Well, where else can our audience find you? I've got the rawadvantage.com, and you mentioned your YouTube channel. I think I even saw you were demonstrating something at Whole
Yep.
Foods. I was trying to keep track of you. So where is Chris most of the time?
Oh, I'm all over the map. It's awesome. Blessed by it. I mean, the Whole Foods. I was just hooked up on my friend Steve Factor of Pure Energy, and he was just like, "Hey, I do these demos at Whole Foods. Would you like to do it with me?" I was like, "Yeah." You know, so all these opportunities are just abound. You know, and you're shining with the light within and just spreading your passion and love. Everyone wants to share that too, and that's part of the abundance, right? Sharing what we're all abundant in. TheRawAdvantage.com is the best place to reach me. You can see all my YouTube videos and got like over 230 free ones and my iPhone app and my books and retreats. All those things are there. My TRA
No.
Dream, that's
Tell
another really cool thing. Do you know about that? No, TRA Dream is my emerging charity. It's right now a nonprofit, but it's recognized in the United States as a nonprofit. And the entire purpose of it is to create healing, learning, fasting, permaculture yoga centers the world round based on donation. That's a big part of what I do is everything that I offer, whether it's living consultation, Skype consultation, ebooks, I offer it fully by all the time, will forever. Half of my proceeds from my 101 Frickin' Awesome Recipes go to my charity because I know there's a lot of people who could really benefit from learning this lifestyle and just don't have the financial means. And you know, there's
me.
much more to an exchange than finances. You know, there's just loving interaction and, you know, helping with your hand, spirit, and sharing the word, you know, sharing what you have abundance in. And I believe that's what's really making the world around in this next cycle we're coming into. And I want to be a huge creative force in that. So that's all the Raw Advantage. Um, yeah, you're right. My YouTube channel, you can get there through the Raw Advantage, or you can just do YouTube user CK1NSH. That's Chris Kendall 1, Northside Heads, my skateboard gang from Saskatoon here. Shout out, Northside Heads,
I can't
represent.
believe there's skateboarders in Canada. It's a
Uh,
California sport.
oh, yes.
You were.
I've been told I was meant to be in California. I surf, I skate, you know, all that stuff. I wanted to be there, you know, but I'm
Yeah.
happy I'm where I'm at. And I otherwise, I'm all over the place. Like you said, like I'm in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, anywhere from 2 to 4, 5, 6 months a year. And then otherwise, Costa Rica, 2 to 4 months a year. And Hawaii, anywhere from a few weeks to a month a year. And
There's
New
a
York for
fruit
the Woodstock
festival.
Fruit Festival. Check out the WoodstockFruitFestival.com.
Oh,
Oh my, you don't know about this? Check this out. The Woodstock the Woodstock Fruit Festival. I've been the head chef. I'm also a very accomplished chef. I was a head chef 3 years in a row at the Woodstock Fruit Festival. It started out 3 years ago with about 180 attendees. The next year was like 350, and this year was like 600. Next year in August, there's going to be 2 weeks. We're looking probably around 600 to 800 per week. It's a rock show. There's 28 pioneers who are really they're people who've been living, breathing, promoting the raw food diet and a healthy lifestyle for minimum of usually around 5 to 10 years, and some 20, 30 years. So they're the movers and shakers of a low-fat, high carbohydrate raw food diet, as described in the 80-10-10 diet by Dr. Douglas Graham. That's what I promote. That's what I live. And it's just an amazing place to be,
yeah.
because all of a sudden you're surrounded by a community of people that have been living this way or know about it, or are succeeding in this simple raw food lifestyle, and it's a no-brainer to them, and they live and breathe it. It's so easy. Plus they're sharing the other things that light them up, whether it's myself teaching yoga or doing talks, skateboarding. There's going to be a skateboard ramp there, or other people running half marathons and doing bike trails or zip lining or swimming, doing all the things that light them up and sharing that with everyone. So it's a hugely empowering place where people come together and they're like, this is what I want to live like. This is the community kind of thing I want to be a part of. And, from stuff like that, I see more and more of that emerging. So that's an amazing place to connect with me as well. So the Woodstock Fruit Festival, August 17th, my birthday, it starts. And it goes until goes until September, I
Very
think,
cool.
first
Yes.
maybe. It's 2 weeks.
Sounds like a
Yeah,
bunch of
so
people that actually live instead of
that's
just
really cool.
existing, which is what most of us are doing, unfortunately. Just existing, not living truly to our potential, which is sad.
And the big question I was asked at one point was, do you live to eat or eat to live? And a lot of us, I came to a conclusion years and years
Hmm.
ago that a lot of people are just going through the motions because the
Right.
alternative is more scary than going through the motions. They wouldn't want to let anyone else down or whatever, so
Yes.
they just do it. And that's kind of sad. It's quite sad. I was really empowered by learning that to do something different, to live to my fullest potential and to just go through the dance of life with a smile on my face and move and grow as much as I possibly
Hmm.
can to let others know they can do the same thing, and then
Hmm.
it's a lot better. Life is sweet. Life is fresh, feels good, tastes good, smells good, right? Let's all be boisterous together in that way, right? So
I couldn't agree with you more.
feel
100%.
stoked to
Very
share that.
awesome. Well, as we conclude this wonderful interview that's been very exciting, and I need to go eat a salad now. Um,
Yeah.
yes, I was
Should I
actually
share
thinking of
with
that in
people
my
where they get
head.
their protein from real quick?
Well,
Yeah. It's the most
when I
the
asked about the
most
steak, that's
common
where my head
question. It's
was.
the most common question. Yeah, no, I hear you.
Right?
I hear you. And I mean, most people think steak or meat, they think protein, but they don't realize that a large part of that meat, 40 to 60%, can become totally unusable by the body by cooking it. And how much protein do we need? A more apt question rather than where do you get your protein? Because most people don't know this. Assume tons based on the information they're fed, through the spoon or the ads. And when we really look at human nutrition, we find out that at our rate of fastest growth ever in our lifespans, when we're a baby, we're drinking mother's milk, which is anywhere from 4 to 7% protein, is what I've heard, that ratio, depending on a few factors. Now, 4 to
Mm-hmm.
7% at our fastest growth rate of any time in our life. Well, if you look at fruits and vegetables, you look at fruits actually, they range from 4 to 8%
Mm-hmm.
protein. Not complete proteins like meat, but instead the essential amino acids that our body requires to make complete proteins. We have zero need for complete proteins. In fact, it's much more efficient for the body to take in the amino acids because anytime we take up a complete protein, our body needs to break it down and then break it into those essential amino acids and then reuse it if they're still usable, which in a lot of the cases they're not. They're fused together or they're waste product, right? So vegetables, they can range anywhere from 15 to 25+% protein. And in fact, something like spinach or broccoli can be 2 to 2.5
Mm-hmm.
times the protein calorie as steak. So they're protein rich foods, but the amazing thing is, when we're in our teens or adulthood, I guess once we've slowed down our rate of growth from being a baby in our first few years of life, our protein needs go down drastically. And in fact, we're served better in all situations by consuming a lower protein diet. There's been studies shown that 2% is the bare minimum we need before we start showing signs of protein deficiency. And the crazy truth is, in the Western world, in the first world, there's no
Mm-hmm.
cases of protein deficiency. You just don't find it unless it's otherwise accompanied by starvation or a really restricted diet, like someone not taking care of someone and just giving them like, I'm just giving you this all the just easy foods. But if you're eating whole foods, it's realistically impossible to not get enough protein because all whole foods contain at least 4%, right? So it becomes a non-issue. And in fact, over-proteinization, over-acidification is one of the more leading causes of, anything from
Mm-hmm.
arthrosclerosis and buildup of uric acid in joint. We're better served on a lower protein
Do you
diet
eat
that
raw nuts
is
at
easily met
all?
by fruits and vegetables. I do. They're part of my diet. I could describe my diet really easy. It's like if I'm hungry, I eat fruit
Right.
as much as I want, all I could care for until I want to push it away. If I don't feel like fruit, I eat vegetables. And my favorite are
Mm-hmm.
the ones that are easily digestible, like young, tender leafy greens, tomatoes, cucumbers, zucchinis. You know, At the end of the day, as my last meal, that's when I'll accompany it with fat if I desire. My personal preference is either like the fruit
Mm-hmm.
kind of fatty foods, like or avocado or maybe durian as a meal.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, seeds, which typically digest better than nuts, and then nuts as the last. If I'm going to use a lot, I'd prefer to cook them, but a lot of times I'm using so little. I'm on a lower fat diet, usually under 10%. It'd be like a small handful of nuts or seeds, just either blended into my salad dressing or sauce.
Gosh, I'm so
or
hungry
otherwise
now.
just
You're
like
killing.
thrown
I guess I do.
Pick up your iPad and check out the app.
Like, this is torture. But that's right.
Torture
Right.
is
It's
the
the,
best kind.
it just shows that obviously, natural foods just drive me crazy. The crave, I'm not thinking of what's the greasiest thing I can throw in my mouth. That does nothing for me. Yes.
It's beautiful when you get to that point, right? A little bit of time can take a little bit of support, and again, being prepared for that and seeing those tougher times as huge opportunities spring towards new habits. And again, just being really loving, really compassionate, really patient with yourself. And you named it, that consciousness of what you do. That's as big or bigger than anything else we can do, is just becoming completely conscious of what we're doing in the moment, living, breathing, accepting, loving it fully. Because it's when we do that we fully experience it, and we can let it go instead of being troubled of, why am I doing this again? Why am I doing it again? Well, you're not experiencing it. If you tune back in, you become conscious, you experience it, you're going to move through it and find yourself in a lot more peace, and in a lot more stable place to make better food choices.
So we can know where to find you in a city that I can't pronounce. I can only do it one time. That's it.
Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and at the rawvantage.com.
That's right. Got to get the radio voice in there.
Oh, yeah.
Any final thoughts? You've said so much. You've been such a wealth of information. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So you've shined like a light, like I wanted to, and you did everything and then some. Good boy. I'm just kidding. Good boy. So, no, that's right. Awesome. I love it. Everyone, I can't wait to hear the feedback I'm going to get. It's going to be amazing. That's right. About changing lives.
I hope it's really beneficial. You know what I mean? It just comes back. Changing lives one at a time, starting with yourself, right? And knowing that you deserve it no matter what. And if you don't feel like you deserve it, give it some time. Try it on. And it'll grow within you. The seed of health. It can't be stopped, really. Once you feel a lot better, it becomes its own motivation. The more you grow in reasons for doing something, for yourself first, and if not for you, for others, for the environment, for the animals, for the world around us, for generations. Instead of breaking down, building ourselves back up as more spiritually, emotionally attuned people. I think it's the most powerful thing we can do right now, is just ourselves in a holistic way and eat simpler, more in tune with nature.
It's enough for being a part of my series. Can't wait to share. I can't wait to share this. To just launch it right now, but I gotta wait.
You're gonna have to.
That's right. That's right.
You guys don't. You're into it right now, and it's coming through your ears in radio voice. The rawvantage.com.
It's now in your face.
Ow, feel that, yes. Hello, I'm talking to you.
That's right. That's right. I'm
Mr.
about fruit tonight. I
Frutastic.
can feel it now. I love it. Well, as always, thank you. Can't wait to work more in the future together. I appreciate everything about you. You've been a radiant light, and I can't wait to explode this so that we can help people. That's what it's all about. So thank you, Chris. I'll let you go.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you so much, and thanks for everyone who tuned in and stuck with us.
Thank
till now.
you.
I hope you loved it too. It was a pleasure.